Hi, babe. Welcome to the Horror Babe Show. I'm your host, Chelsea Beller. Today's guest is my friend and lifetime cinephile, Briana Moreno. Briana has seen most everything, but most importantly for this episode, she's seen the Jurassic Park movies many a time. B and I yap about the Jurassic franchise, her brutally honest opinion of the Jurassic World movies, and we react to the Jurassic World Rebirth trailer. Please enjoy this conversation between two friends, B and me. Hi, babe. Welcome to the Horror Babe Show. I'm your host, Chelsea Beller, and today we have Briana Moreno on the show. We call her B, or Briana. B and I, okay, our story begins a couple of years ago when we were both working at a production company called Soapbox Films here in LA. They have since closed their doors, but our friendship stands.
Yes.
It's just funny because, like, I remember when I first started there, because you'd been there a little bit longer.
Just a few months, yeah.
Yeah, but everybody told me, oh, you have to meet B. And I was like, okay, like, where is she? And then we met, and, like, the rest is history.
That's right. We met at the holiday Christmas party.
That's right.
And I dressed up way too much because I was really nervous because I didn't know anybody there.
Yeah.
I was the CEO's assistant, and so I felt really weird.
Yeah.
I felt very strange. But yeah, I'm so happy to be here. I'm so happy that despite the industry being topsy-turvy, that we are here and we're discussing incredibly important and substantial topics.
Yes.
That
Politics, economics.
Yeah.
All the things.
The political state of the world, as Jaden Smith would say.
So, B, I actually have to partially, at least, credit you for this show. Because...
for the entire show?
Yeah. Because, like, it's partially because of all the conversations, like, you and all the other soapboxers and I would have during the day, like, that made me go, God, I just want to do this. I just want to sit and talk about horror movies and other movies with people who, the cats are at it, with other people who love and make horror and just movies in general. So, thank you.
Thank you. That's awesome. There was something really special about working at Soapbox Films for a lot of reasons, but ultimately it was how like-minded everybody was at that studio. And I know that you've felt this at times, like feeling like the odd one out in most situations, and and then to be recruited onto the island of misfit toys.
Yes.
And suddenly you're like, oh, I'm not weird. Or I am weird, but there's nothing wrong with that. Like, being weird is embraced, and it's a judgment-free zone. You're only judged if you're, like, not part of that zeitgeist.
Right.
And that felt so freeing. And so even though our time at Soapbox was really short-lived, it was so substantial, and it solidified a lot of things for me as somebody who I have a hard time referring to myself as an artist because I don't believe that I create any art. Well, what I do believe is that I am a very passionate person, and that passion generates, like, excitement and passion in other people.
Yeah.
And so, thank you. And so I'm so happy. I'm just really happy that you've been doing this for so long. We've been talking about this. Ever since I've known you, that you started doing this, and the fact that you do it so consistently and with so much love and care and dedication is really impressive. I can't do it.
Aww.
So I commend you. So as much as you thank me, I commend you. So thank you. Thank you. And thank you for letting me bully you into coming onto this show, because I absolutely texted her when the first trailer came out. And then I remember my partner coming up to me and then me talking at him ad nauseum about the horror elements of that trailer, and then watching it go in this year and then out that one. So I was like, you know who would really like to hear about all this?
Me.
Chelsea Beller.
Is it me?
The horror babe.
It's me.
So we are here today to stroke my dino ego, and talk about my favorite franchise in the entire universe, in the entire world, the entire reason I moved to Los Angeles, the entire reason that I sit here still today.
Yeah.
I love Jurassic Park.
It's the best.
So much.
It's the best.
Okay.
So, my first question is, B has been a part of numerous productions through Soapbox and other production companies. She was literally a ghost for a commercial that I got to witness, and that was really fun. Why don't you talk about where your love of movies comes from?
Sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, growing up, my mom was a single mom. And so I had a lot of time that was spent hanging out with my grandparents and just kind of hanging out in my own time. And so movies were kind of like the thing that held my attention. But it wasn't until 1993 where I started to elicit strong emotions from film beyond just like a time occupying thing, you know. As a kid, as a kid I loved, you know, Disney, and I was like obsessed with Lion King, and I, you know, there's like, because who wouldn't be? And all the, you know, Nightmare Before Christmas was definitely a big jumping off point for me as well, because that looked different than everything else.
It was so different.
It was a lot different than like, because, you know, you would say early on I noticed that I was really picky about animation styles, and so when I really enjoyed the content of like Hanna-Barbera stuff, but I disliked how much they recycled cells when they animated, and so, and as a kid I don't fucking know that, but like there was something that turned me off about it, and so when I started seeing more unique things like Don Bluth or you know, animation like stop motion animation, or even like Wallace and Gromit and other productions, I started to get really intrigued, and that was a time in which Disney was exploring its Renaissance era, where it was, you know, we had Little Mermaid, and then we had Aladdin, Beauty and the Beast, and then you know, animation started being recognized as a real art form. Beauty and the Beast getting its first being the first animated film to get an Academy Award was like a really big deal. And so, but yeah, in 1993 was the first time that Jurassic Park came out, and I was terrified. I was terrified of the trailers. I was terrified of the concept. I remember my parents were split, and my bio dad would always take me to movies to
oh my god, I'm leaving that in. That is so funny.
Or are they guilty?
You were talking about 93 Jurassic Park came out, and it rocked your world.
So I was 5 years old, and my mom would have never let me watch that, so it would have been at my biological father's house. I would have been 5, and it was one of those like really big screen box TVs that, you know, were projected from the, you know what I mean? So if you didn't stand exactly at the right angle, you couldn't see shit.
Yeah.
And I remember it got turned on, and I remember that feeling of not knowing what was coming from behind those leaves, because all of the construction workers are waiting there. And I remember the worker going into the raptor cage, and I remember him falling, and I remember him getting like pulled up to you know, like way higher than he should have, unnaturally. Yeah. And I remember as a kid that really freaked me out, because I couldn't see what was going on. This is like horror 101. I was like discovering horror 101 of like This is scary because it's unknown.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's shocking because it's unknown.
Right.
And so I remember Muldoon like holding this worker's, and his finger getting, and I remember just in my head, I was like, what sucked him in? I remember it was the sucking motion of it that scared me. It was his hands going through. And that freaked me out. And so naturally I kept watching. And I remember, I knew that if I told my mom or anybody that I watched that movie, it would lead to like a fight because I shouldn't be watching scary movies at 5.
Yeah.
But I'm so glad I did.
Yeah.
To progress on your actual question, I was just really fascinated that they look so real, simple, plain and simple. That's kind of what launched my love of filmmaking, because then I wanted to understand, okay, so how do you do this?
Right.
It was very much it. I was Dr. Grant asking, like, how did you do this?
Yeah.
And, I should have brought it. I didn't think about doing it. But I like one of the very first movie making book I ever got was The Making of Jurassic Park. And it's from the 90s. Nice. And so that's where I got to see the die-cast, animatronics, and I got to see the concept art, and I got to see the sculptors and Stan Winston do his thing, and that was really exciting to me that there were what it was there was this really big picture at the end of it that had the entire crew and the Rex and Steven Spielberg, and it was just this big wide shot of them on the set, and I just thought to myself, wow, all these people came together for however long amount of time, and created all this, and they did it together, and they got paid to do it, and it was just so like fascinating to me, and I thought, all the job options that had been out there, that you're taught about, like, go, be a lawyer, be a doctor, do whatever, but like nobody said that like making dinosaurs was like an option, you know what I mean? And so it was like a whole world of opportunity. And then,
we were never taught that.
No. And so once I started to kind of appreciate that, then films like Who Framed Roger Rabbit, which came out the same year I was born, started to have a deeper meaning to me. And then, starting to look into the Godzilla films and seeing, and then Alien franchise, and science fiction as a whole, like, and then The Matrix and those camera techniques, and it was Jurassic Park though that sparked it. I'm so glad that, I let that pipe dream be a pipe dream, because then, I got to be a ghost in the Disney Haunted Mansion commercial, and I got to, do a lot of things that I never would have thought was possible. But that's where my love of movies came from, and that's
I love that.
Yeah, and that's where it stands today.
Okay, would you like to rewatch the trailer?
I would.
Okay,
I would. I haven't watched it since it came out.
Yes, same. So B and I are now going to do a little trailer reaction.
This is Zora Bennett, our mission specialist. Sorry, what mission? This would be a medical breakthrough that could save countless lives. It comes from the largest dinosaurs on the planet. Oh my God. Fortunately for us, all these species exist in one isolated place. Can you be ready tomorrow?
I can guarantee your safety. I mean, more or less.
More or less? He's your guy.
You're the best at moving things and people in and out of places they shouldn't be.
We look towards Barbados, avoid government patrol, but there aren't that many anymore. Why's that? No one's dumb enough to go where we're going.
This island was the research facility for the original Jurassic Park.
We need DNA from the 3 biggest dinosaurs. Do we have to get a sample from an egg?
I suppose we could try and get it from the parent, but they're a flying carnivore the size of an F-16.
Maybe we should make it quick.
These dinosaurs were too dangerous for the original
Oh my god.
Survival is a long shot.
What the hell are those?
They're helping the Mosasaur defend territory.
Everything about aquatic animals.
None of what you just said is good.
I kind of forgot about this scene. I don't like that. I don't like that part. Oh my god. Okay, initial thoughts?
First and foremost, I love Mahershala Ali in everything and anything at all times. So that is the first thing I have to say about that. The second thing I have to say about that, I don't think they need to keep going bigger.
I know.
I don't like that. I don't think they need to. They don't need to make dinosaurs are fucking like scary as it is. You don't need to make them gigantic. Like in the Compsognathus in Lost World, which is the second film, were fucking terrifying enough as it is.
Yeah.
The great quantity of them, the swarms of them, like that is. But whatever, I get it. It's fine. Bigger.
Whatever.
I'm very happy for ScarJo. I know that she really wanted this, and I really like Scarlett Johansson. I think she's so funny, and she's you kind of forget how legit of an actor she is because she's been so Marvelized.
Yes.
Yeah. But, I was
happens.
Yeah, and I was just rewatching some of her older stuff, and I was like, gosh, I just really enjoy her. I'm happy to see, even if it is some DEI move, I want to watch a woman lead it. I mean, the entire Jurassic Park franchise is led by women. Straight up. So, like, stop putting fucking Chris Pratt in it.
I know.
It's only women who have, like, made the right decisions in those movies. It's the women who end up saving everybody. It's the women who, it's fine. My question is, though, because before they were engineering dinosaurs or whatever, and so what this is supposed to be, like, weird mutated versions of the dinosaurs, but like they're in that cave thing. So like, are they gonna be like descent mutated? Are they gonna be like cave dwelling mutated? You know what I mean?
Maybe,
like those have eyes status.
Oh, that would be interesting.
So that would be cool if they were like adapt, but there's no reason for them to be mold dinosaurs. So it's not like anybody else is inhabiting that island to keep them. But I don't know, unless they couldn't find a way out. I don't know. I wish they would just go back to the original concept, but change the filming format, right? I think if you made a found footage film under the original concept of the original Jurassic Park, that would be pretty fucking scary.
Oh yeah, I'd be down for that.
I don't think the solution is always to throw a bunch of A-listers. I understand that they need to put butts in seats, but like you can do that
with the story,
with the horror of it. Now, it being a rated R film is exciting.
Yeah.
So it's not rated R. They marketed it as the first rated R.
They said that they were hoping to go closer to rated R, but they're keeping it PG-13. They're just going more horror with this one.
We have a debate in our midst.
Hold on. Okay, Fangoria.com. The folks at Jurassic Outpost recently posted a video examining rumors that suggest Rebirth will be R-rated. Well, now I have to unpack that.
Let's unpack that.
So what the fuck, Gareth, is the point, sir? Gareth Edwards is really, really impressive in terms of showing scale and in terms of showing things in perspective. Like Rogue One was really cool for that. Godzilla, even though, it was a little bit of a tease for a lot of it. I thought the spectacle of it was prominent. And I really enjoyed the way he did scale in Rogue One by having ATSTs and AT-ATs like roaming through streets instead of these vast plains of Hoth or, these vast plains of Tatooine or whatever. So having really narrow like streets and alleyways to show the scale of these machines, but then also have like these shots showing like these huge starships against the Death Star, and it's like it's all fucked up looking. Anyway, I guess the Death Star's not in Rogue One. I think he'll have a lot to bring to the table in terms of making it scary.
Yeah.
I'm not excited for this movie necessarily now. When I walked into this house, I was. Now I'm not. so, those are my first impressions.
Disappointment.
It's not disappointment because the bar was already set so low. At this point, there's something I could have done about it. I'm an adult now. I couldn't do anything when I was a kid. Now I'm an adult. And now we're still getting bad Jurassic Park movies.
Yeah.
So,
You might change your mind.
I might. I just haven't liked a lot of movies lately. I do want the pivot, though, to back to horror, because for a long time it was very action-oriented. It was very, Owen Grady looking really cool on these motorcycles and wrangling the dinosaurs like a kid. I also don't like, that brings me on to, I don't like the theory that the little kid in the first Jurassic Park is Owen Grady. I think that's bullshit. I don't like that.
Yeah. I'm not a fan of that.
I don't think he would have grown up to be that badass. I also don't like Chris Pratt. I think I'm just in a bad mood now. I'm complaining about everything. No, I'm not in a bad mood. I love Jurassic Park. And there's nothing that can make me dislike it, no matter how many bad fucking versions of it they churn out. I can pivot to something that I like, though. I've met Jeff Goldblum twice.
Have you?
Yeah.
Was he playing a piano or something?
Both times he was, yeah.
Was he?
One time, my friend Denise brought me to when he used to do that jazz thing.
Yeah.
But then the second time, I had unknowingly worked with his assistant. And so when she found out that or maybe not his assistant, but it was somebody in production. Her name was Jessica. She's amazing. I haven't talked to her in many years, but she's great. Hi. He was recording a jazz record at Capitol Records. And
God.
She was kind enough to get me on the list.
Brutally honestly, what were your thoughts of the Jurassic World movies?
They're bad movies. They're not necessary.
Yeah.
But I do have a soft spot in my heart for them. We hadn't seen a Jurassic Park movie come out since Jurassic Park 3.
Yeah.
Which is not the greatest movie. Editor Chelsea cut to Dr. Grant in the plane and the Velociraptor say,
They're bad.
We hadn't gotten a new movie since Jurassic Park 3, which was not as good as the first two. Listen, and this might be an unpopular opinion, I love Jurassic Park: The Lost World. I almost love it more than the first Jurassic Park.
Do you really?
I love that movie. I love everything about that movie, even the dumb gymnastics scene that has the weird Schumacher lighting and angles. I don't know why it's there. I feel like Joel Schumacher just did that one shot. He came in and did a guest appearance just to do the Dutch angle and the backlighting of her fucking flipping and kicking the velociraptors. No, that movie is absolutely incredible. I don't care what anybody says. I adore that movie. It's so organic and natural, and one of the things I love about Steven Spielberg's direction is that I feel like he barely directs his actors, and he just lets them have a conversation and kind of follow a loose outline of what's supposed to happen, but he has such control over the scenes that he can elicit such an organic response out of them.
Yeah, it's also funny because every time I watch it, I forget how much they pack into it.
Yeah, them going into San Diego turned it into a monster movie versus being a horror movie.
Yeah.
And I think that Jurassic Park and Lost World differentiate as different types of different genres just in the way that Alien and Aliens do, where Alien is science fiction horror and Aliens is a war movie. And so I think that Jurassic Park is science fiction horror, but Jurassic World is Lost World is a monster movie for sure.
Yeah.
And they even reference Godzilla in it.
Yeah.
Granted, it's in Japanese. It's absolutely a monster movie.
Lost World?
Yeah. Because you have the little girl and she's on the island, which is actually technically the beginning of the first movie, first book.
First book,
and she gets attacked by the compies, and then the mom comes running, and then classic horror scream, and then we cut to Dr. Ian Malcolm yawning against a vacation poster at the subway. It's great. I think what was really interesting about Lost World being a monster movie versus being a sci-fi horror film is like, same with Alien, it's the unknown that makes Jurassic Park scary.
Right.
It's the unknown of like we know that there are dinosaurs, but like what kind, how many, what is the level at which they're going to be interacting with these people, and so like the only inkling you have is like kind of what you saw at the beginning. And so I think the way that he ramps it up, you open with something terrifying you can't see, and then you start slow with the Brachiosaurus, right, and then you do the Vegosaurus from there of you see the Triceratops, you see them moving in herds, and then you slowly build up. You see a baby raptor, but you don't know what a full raptor is like, nor what they're capable of. You don't even think about what the dinosaurs are like, facing each other. Right. How a Dilophosaurus would interact. Had anybody even heard of a Dilophosaurus at that point beyond a paleontologist? Because that's an intriguing concept. And so
that's a good point.
So we didn't know. We didn't know. The audience didn't know unless you were a dinosaur nerd in the 90s. You didn't know what you were going to see. Versus Lost World. You knew what you were going to see. Just like a Godzilla film. You pay money to watch big thing smash small thing. Like straight up, that's it. And so Lost World, it's like they introduced some kind of new dinosaurs. It was less about the discovery and more about containment. So I love Lost World, but the Jurassic World franchise, I thought it was exciting that they were continuing it, because at the time it was a new concept to have a new Jurassic Park movie. And so, while the movie itself was very fan servicey, and especially by the time I got to the third one of that, it was like, oh my god, it's like a fanfic almost. Like a poorly written fanfic. Don't get me wrong, there are shots that are very cool. There are shots that are very, very cool, especially in the Dominion was the last one. I think. There are some really incredible shots of what's her name, Claire, in the water and stuff like that. There are things that don't like make sense about that scene, but like visually, it's like that's pretty cool. But like my expectations are so low at this point that it's just like here to see it look cool, right, at most. But what I loved about Lost World was that they still, used practical effects as much as they could. They applied the same rules to Jurassic Park, where it's like if it's a full body shot of a dinosaur, it's CG. But if it's a partial, it's likely an animatronic. Right. What Jurassic Park 3 felt like was like kitchen sink for Jurassic Park and Jurassic Park Lost World. Yeah. It was just kind of like, what haven't we shot? Let's throw Alan in there. Let's show Ellie doing better than he is. Right. The kid getting the T-Rex piss is such bullshit, though. No fucking way. I don't care. Listen, my suspension of belief
ends there.
Like hard stop there. I don't. I know that the kid was in that Disney movie Genius, but like he's not that smart. That's not a thing. So all that to say is the Jurassic World movies were also a cash grab. However, I will say, when that movie first came out, I made a big deal out of it because it was the first Jurassic Park movie that had come out in years. Yeah. And I was so excited. Just the dopamine hit of having a Jurassic Park movie in theaters was enough for me. Yeah. And so, this was back in the day when going to the movies was a thing that you did. I got all my friends to be very excited about it. Like, even though they weren't excited, I was excited, and I made them be excited about it. And so we decided to do this big thing where we'd all go to the Chinese theater, and the first day that it was out, I made sure to get all these tickets. I organized this whole thing. And I remember I was working on an agency at the time, and I was a personal assistant to a director, and I was reading scripts. I was reading scripts all day, and I was super tired. And so I took the receptionist there gave me a little bit of Adderall for the first time in my life, which this was prior to me being diagnosed with ADHD. So I was just like, I feel normal. But that's a story for another day.
That's my other podcast.
That's, yes, the other podcast. It was really, so I was taking that so I could read through all these scripts. And I was like, I gotta like be able to pay attention to this movie later. But I was like, I was so wired. And my friend picked me up and she was driving me to Hollywood. And I was going like a million miles a minute, because I was also just excited to see the movie and excited to see all my friends, and we were going to Hollywood and the Chinese and the Jurassic Park, too many things to make me excited. And so I had the zoomies. We get there and I get to the office, the box office, the Chinese, and it's like dark out, and I am like getting the tickets for, it had to be like 7, 8 of us, something like that. And there's like a tap on my shoulder, and I turn around and I'm like, it's Hollywood. Like, who's touching me?
Yeah.
And I see a man, and it's my dad, my stepdad.
What?
And I was like, why are you here? And he was like, I came to see Jurassic Park with you. And he coordinated with my friends. And he flew down from Northern California to Los Angeles just to watch that movie with me, because it was such a big deal to me.
That's so sweet.
It's a very sweet story. And that is why I have a soft spot for Jurassic World. It's a bad movie, but I have a good dad. So, so that was very cool.
That's very sweet.
I still go back and forth on like how I feel about Claire running with the heels on. I don't know how I feel about that.
Same.
I flip-flop on it.
Yeah, you can like kind of...
You can interpret it in a few different ways.
Yeah, you could like take a feminist like view on it and be like, yeah, girls can run in heels too.
But also,
why would you?
Like, yeah, I'd be kicking, like in a realistic
uncomfortable.
survival situation, I'd be kicking off those shoes immediately.
Gone.
Such a distraction.
Yeah.
So like, I don't know. You could tell it was directed and written by men. I think it was just a weird, like, Jurassic Park has been dead for a while. I think continuing to breathe life into it, it's like, just let it die, man.
Yeah.
But, you know, as they say, life finds a way.
Mm-hmm.
And people love the franchise. I love the franchise. I'm sitting here grasping a dinosaur toy dressed as Dr. fucking Grant. And like, and I still have extremely strong feelings about this. So who am I to complain about it?
Yeah.
I would rather it, you know, not get lost. But I also don't want the zeitgeist to be changed and to cheapen this incredible work that a lot of people were innovators.
Yeah.
And they changed filmmaking. Jurassic Park changed the entire world of visual effects and animation and the way you did practical effects and the way that you perceived things on screen and the amount of time that you were able to perceive things on screen. The differentiation of this as a horror film, Jurassic Park as a horror film versus Jaws as a horror film, is that with Jaws you had to use the very clever editing, and you had to use like the same techniques that Alfred Hitchcock had to use when you know, not, you know, he didn't edit Psycho, and I feel bad for forgetting who did, but they had to be very careful with how much, you know, the ratio of stabbing to shower to woman to, you know, to in order to convey the fear of that scene. And you had to do that with Jaws, you know, the ratio of shark to water to human to fin to teeth to, you know.
Yeah.
Jurassic Park, you got a long, good look at every single dinosaur. You saw every little piece of them.
Yeah, that's true.
All the visual effects are really beautiful and incredible. I was always so jealous of the Stan Winston. I was always really jealous of the people who got to work with Stan Winston. Like,
totally. Gosh,
like going into the detail of like, all right, it's eyes. Like which eye of these eyeballs do you choose? You know, I think that was my favorite part of seeing the behind the scenes and the production photos, was just seeing all the different like tables laid out of different claws and different sizes and coloration and textures and eyeballs and just like panels of scale and skin and how do you show the meat? How do you show when it's severed? How do you show when it's intact? How does it show up wet? How does it, like, you know, these things that are considered to be very nerdy and very like to the average person who fucking cares it's the dinosaur, but
right.
to have an entire job to care about how the dinosaur comes out, like that's just the coolest thing.
Yeah.
Everything Stan Winston has ever done is just, I'm so jealous of it.
It's wild.
If Jurassic Park wasn't my favorite film, my follow-up would be Men in Black.
Oh my god, yes.
And the effects that are done in that, the aliens in that are amazing. That was my dream job.
Movie.
That's why my name is B. It was because of Men in Black.
Yeah,
my dad, who was the one who came and visited me at the theater, when he met my mom, I was like 7 or so, and so Men in Black had just come out, and he took me to go see it in theaters. And all the agents go by the first letter of their first name.
Yeah.
So we got out of theater. He started calling me Agent B, and it became running. I made myself like an ID. I made him an ID. That's so cute. Like Men in Black ID. Yeah. And then I made a neutralizer, and I would go around the neighborhood and like stop kids and ask them for their like alien license versus their human license, and I would neutralize them and shit. And I started wearing sunglasses very early on in life. So
I love that.
Yeah, and then as time went on, it shortened from Agent B obviously to just B. And and that's how I got my nickname.
That's so cute.
Yeah, so my dad is responsible for that.
Let's say there were no Jurassic World movies.
Okay.
And you could create a movie after Jurassic Park 3.
Yeah.
What would you like focus on, or like, because you did say you would do something in kind of like a found footage, maybe kind of style, like
I think it would be really cool to do a diary-esque, found footage thing. I don't know that I would want to do it if I could pick when it would take place. I would have it take place before the first Jurassic Park.
Really?
Yeah, cool. Because there's so much that was already established by the time that we got there. Yeah. There's so much that we don't know about how they, like all the only exposition that we have of how it all came about is the presentation that the tour group receives, at the park. And so that's all we know. That's all we know as an audience. And you're just supposed to accept it and be like, okay, that happened. But like, I think that's fascinating. And I think it's crazy that we keep exploring what's happening after.
Right.
Like, there's a lot of buildup that you're missing out on. There must have been a lot of trial and error with these dinosaurs. There must have been a lot of moralistically fucked up things that happen in the the experimentation of breeding dinosaurs from ancient fucking amphibious DNA. From fossilized mosquitoes? What are you talking about? Like, and we're not exploring that? What? We just keep saying make dino bigger? Yeah. That's it? Yeah. So I would love a research-based sci-fi horror of these dinosaurs, maybe B.D. Wong's character, or since he did end up being canonically like the villain of the Jurassic World franchise, spoiler alert, it would make sense to like harken back to that, or go back to Nedry. Go back to Nedry, who was having financial issues, who clearly had history with John Hammond. Right. Who John Hammond, who literally said, I will not get into another financial debate with you. This means that this has been going on for some time. This means that they were already contentious enough for us to be introduced to this character, and he's already making deals with somebody else to steal. Dodgson, we got Dodgson here. Nobody cares. There's a lot to be discussed about the staff that's there. Yeah. There's a lot to be discussed. Look, fucking Muldoon. We're not going to explore Muldoon, the most badass character of every character that's ever existed beyond Indiana Jones. Yeah. Might as well be Indiana Jones.
I mean, might as well, yeah.
So, like, in his relationship with those velociraptors, the fact that the first lines we ever hear from him beyond loading team step away are shoot her and they should all be destroyed. Like, straight up, like, what has this guy seen? What does he know? And how is he so comfortable hunting them and knowing, like, I want to know about that. Like, I just feel like there's a lot that's not explored.
That would be really interesting to dive into, like, him and his relationship with the dinos.
Yeah, or even, like, a young Hammond, like, you know, how did where did he get this capital? Is it, has he always had it? You know, but if he was young in London, used to look at flea circuses, he couldn't have been that rich. So like, so where did all this money come from?
Yeah.
How did he become a venture capitalist? How did he get so like involved in this scientific endeavor?
Yeah.
Like what there's just too many unanswered questions, and we keep dealing with is the fallout of things, and I don't want that anymore. And all we do is continue to make prequel franchises. Why aren't we doing it with Jurassic Park?
That's such a good point.
So, you know, we did it with Star Wars, we're doing it with Alien now, and so what the fuck? Man. Stop just making them bigger. Like, we don't need that. We need more context, and we need to explore the morals, because that is ultimately what the Jurassic Park movies have always been about.
That's true.
It's the morality of playing God.
Yeah.
I just think it's a weird thing to kind of just be like, don't do that. All right, I'm going to do it. We'll see what happens. Now you did it. Now everyone's dying. Oh, I probably shouldn't do that again, but maybe I will. You can't just keep doing that over and over and over. Like, tell us a different story. People care. People are smart. And I feel like lately the franchise has not been treating its audience like it's intelligent.
I think that's true. What movie are you most looking forward to this year?
I've honestly delved pretty deep into television.
What are you watching lately?
Well, I finally watched Girls.
Really?
Holy cow. Wow.
That's a lot to unpack.
Wow.
Yeah.
If you want to do a separate non-horror episode just talking about Girls, I am down. Have you seen it?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, okay, good.
Yeah.
I'm obsessed with Jessa.
Oh, who isn't?
Oh, a lot of people.
Well, I mean,
I went on Reddit trying to find out
That's just
more
rude.
about what people are talking about, and they're like, man, the more I watch the show, the more Jessa's a terrible person. I'm like, they're all terrible people.
oh, they're horrible. They're all the worst people.
So, I watched Girls. I finished Severance, obviously, and I am watching Big Little Lies to fill that Adam Scott hole in my life. I watched Love and Death on HBO. These are all not new. These have all been out for a little while. Love and Death has Elizabeth Olsen and Jesse Plemons and Lily Rabe, Kristen Ritter, and Patrick Fugit. And it's based on the story of this woman, Candy, who like had an affair, and then the dude's wife tried to kill her with an axe.
Sorry.
You know,
I did not expect you to say that.
Yeah. You don't expect... I actually kind of was like just watching it to watch the actors, because I love all those actors. And then it got... Dude, you should actually really watch that show, because you know what it is?
What?
And I'm actually so glad we're talking about this, because I've been needing to like say this out loud. That show is if Ryan Murphy fucking grew up and stopped being so fucking like horny all the time. Like...
Interesting.
It's literally if American Horror Story just like buttoned up a little bit more.
Interesting.
Yeah. And way less horny. Like
way less horny.
But like it carries the same weight, and it's actually pretty fucked up. And it's but it's not horror all the way through. It's very interesting. You should check it out. It is only one season. It's only like 7 episodes.
Said Love and Death.
Love and Death. Okay. I've been doing a lot of HBO watching, but honestly, movies I'm having a hard time having my ear to the ground with it anymore.
But you saw The Substance.
I love The Substance. The Substance,
so good.
If that's the direction that indie horror film is going, or just indie filmmaking is going in general, then great.
Yeah.
We have our heading, you know what I mean? We'll get, if we can get films like The Substance, if we can go back to practical magic, really, truly, some practical stuff like, The Substance was the closest thing to Cronenberg that we've gotten in years. So let's keep moving in that direction, and let's, Romulus was a great example of bringing the practical back in. Let's just slowly keep doing that. I think that's what people want, and they don't realize it. You know what I mean? I don't think I'm very disappointed with. I really appreciate the technology and the place that we're at as a technological society and entertainment. I think it's really incredible where we're at, but I am not pleased with what we're replacing. And having these big, beautiful sets and on these huge sound stages, and building all these worlds by hand in order to feel the immersion, not just through a camera lens, but through every single angle. So no matter where you are, it's, shooting everything in front of these giant AR walls, it's taking a toll. It's taking a toll on the lighting and the effect and the way that people are perceiving films. Mm-hmm. And to see the way that Wicked was shot versus the beautiful Technicolor of The Wizard of Oz, mm-hmm. and seeing everything backlit, knowing it's because they have a giant AR screen in the background is like, mm-hmm. It's just tough. It's tough to see and accept, honestly. And at this point, I kind of feel like an old man yelling at the clouds type thing, and I have a lot of feelings about it. So I'm absolutely becoming that old man who's angry.
I think that's fair.
Yeah. Well, it's killing jobs. And there are people who have been in this industry longer than I've been alive that can't get work, and that's wrong. So, something has to change, but I don't know what it is, and I don't know when it's happening.
I think as long as we talk about it, that, helps a little.
I feel much like Dr. Grant did when we heard about all the technology that exists now. Grant says, sounds to me like we're out of the job. Don't you mean extinct? And that was literally a reference to claymation artists and Phil Tippett. So it's literally happening today. But Jurassic Park in and of itself is this well-preserved, just like the mosquito, a well-preserved piece of art.
Yeah.
That just shows a very specific time in film history. And without it, we wouldn't have the films we have today.
Yeah. Well, thanks so much for being on the show, dude.
Thank you for, again, letting me bully you into it.
You didn't.
No, I'm happy to be here. I'm always happy to get on a soapbox and talk about the things that I love with people that I love. So thank you so much for having me.
Oh,
and
of course.
Thank you for my emotional
support dinosaur.
Support dinosaur. She got me through a lot today.
Well, that's it from me and B. Hope you enjoyed this week's Filmmaker Friday. We only have 2 more Filmmaker Friday episodes this spring. I'm taking the summer off to focus on horror movie reviews, rating those kills, and some of you have expressed interest in my take on how to produce a horror movie short on a budget, like a serious budget, like $20. So stay tuned for those. Please don't forget to like, comment, follow, and subscribe. Bye, babe.